Hello and welcome to my channel, Mary Bourne ND and Gardening with Granny. Well, we're here for another sip and chat. And of course, my sip is water, but whatever you choose to sip on. This is a video that we're going to just discuss the Everybody's Challenge. It's not Everybody's Challenge. Everybody Counts Challenge. And what I've done this past week to move things from my garden to my pantry. So, people say normally, but I'm beginning to question whether there really is a normally, because this has been a crazy, crazy year. It started out with the spring being, like hotter than usual, weirder than usual, summer rainier than usual. So, what is usual? And I think it's teaching us that we have to just roll with the punches, do what you can when you can, and forget about comparing, because it it just doesn't compute anymore. This spring, the bunnies came and ate all my cucumber plants. So I really didn't have any cucumbers to work with. And I had really wanted to do refrigerator pickles. I have never done refrigerator pickles. Um, I happen to like dill pickles, but I don't like spicy dill. And they're not easy to find. We made dilly beans one year, and even putting a little bit of cayenne pepper in made it so that I didn't really enjoy them. So last week we went to the farmer's market and I bought pickling cucumbers, and I made some delicious refrigerator dill pickles. Now I just followed the little package instructions for the brine, and they turned out a little bit saltier than I would like, but if I slice it thin and put it on like a hamburger or something like that, I think they will be fine. They're just not something that, like a deli pickle, where you can pick it up and eat the whole thing. Um, and so that's okay. That's okay. I used my own dill, and I used grape leaves from my grape arbor. Grape leaves are a great way to keep your pickles crunchy, and these are crunchy. So another thing I did was I tried roasting my tomatoes, because tomatoes are really coming in like gangbusters, which I'm very grateful for. And one of the things I planned for this year was to grow a lot of paste tomatoes so that I can make my own tomato sauce for spaghetti or however I want to use it. And so I've never roasted tomatoes, but I've seen other people do it and it looks simple and skins just peel off. Well, I don't know what I did wrong, but the skins did not peel off. The skin took so much flesh with it, I felt like I was losing half of the tomato. So I actually freeze dried the tomato with you can see there's a good deal of flesh still on that tomato. And I'm going to powder that, and I can create a paste from the powdered freeze-dried tomato. I also grew green beans that I don't know how this green bean got into my garden, but it's a vining green bean. I always buy the bush variety because I prefer the French slender bean. I don't like string on my beans, and I'm not a fan of where you have to cook it forever. But I ended up with green beans that you have to cook forever. So we also had some corn left over, and I ended up making this beautiful vegetable soup my husband absolutely loves. I get caught up with the strings on the beans, but he doesn't seem to mind them. So I made 2 quarts of vegetable soup. Now, I also don't pressure can. So what I plan on doing with that is putting them in individual pint-sized containers, and I will freeze that. And we'll have some meals with that. When I was freeze drying the tomatoes, I also had some herbs in my garden I wanted to preserve. I had more rosemary and parsley and sage. So I did a mixture of those, freeze dried them, and I will be making a powder out of that and creating seasoned salt. So I did go through my method of blanching the tomatoes. I had, like I said, a nice quantity of them. And we, instead of, because there was so few of them, I decided to put them in quart bags and freeze them. So we will have, I have 3 bags of frozen tomatoes ready to go. They're chopped, and they can be put in any sauce or soup. So I'm finding new ways to do some things that, so I'm adapting, and I think that's the key. What this garden season is teaching me is I can adapt. I can handle what quirky thing is coming my way. Another thing we did with um, we diced peppers. This isn't new, but we diced peppers, and I have a little crunchy type machine, and made individual packs and froze chunks of green pepper because I love adding them to like an omelet or something like that. And I also at the same time did that with onion. My onion harvest this year has been so bountiful. They're just gorgeous. I have never had the ability to grow a bulbing onion until this year. So I'm very thrilled with that. So I'm working through my small harvest, learning to adapt different things. I also yesterday I am a bread maker for a long, long time. When when I was in my 40s, I was bread judge at the Michigan State Fair. And I tasted more bread than I really want to know about. We had tables of quick breads like zucchini and things like that. But I also demonstrated how to go from wheat to bread in 90 minutes. And that's taking the wheat, grinding the wheat, and through a yeasted process, make bread. And I taught that in community college, and it was an interesting period of my life. And so I know how to make bread. This bread is made with bread flour and almond flour. And this too was an adaptation because I'm actually not supposed to do grains. So I'm trying to work other methods in, and I was very pleased. I mean, this is a nice size loaf for not being all bread flour. I used, if you're interested, I used and I'm sorry, but I am at the age where I don't do recipes. But I would say that I had used 2/3 of the bread flour and 1/3 of the almond flour. And that's how this beautiful loaf turned out. I actually made 3 loaves. 2 of them are regular because my husband loves toast. Almost every morning he has toast and peanut butter with homemade jelly or jam, cherry. And I made a loaf for myself with cherries and cinnamon. And so it's a rolled loaf. So that's what I'm doing on this Every Bit Counts challenge. Um, I'm learning how to be more adaptable in my preservation methods. And I hope that some of what I've talked about will give you some good ideas on how you can preserve the harvest and feed your family. There's only the 2 of us. So it's not like I need to do like I used to do when we had a family. We had a family of 4, and I used to make enough spaghetti for 2 meals for 4 people. Well, now, yeah, and at that time I used a quart of tomatoes, and um, I used to also add tomato spaghetti sauce like a marinara. And now I use 1 pint of tomatoes to make that same spaghetti sauce, and it lasts us at least 2 meals, sometimes 3. And since I'm not supposed to have grains, I use spaghetti squash. So it's the lesson this week was adaptability. So let me know how you've had to adapt or have chosen to adapt, and what recipes that you have adapted to make it easier for you or to make it more nutritious. And until next time, next week, which is the final week in our series of Every Bit Counts Challenge for 2024. So thank you again for attending, and I appreciate every one of you. My numbers are increasing, and that always is encouraging to me. So spread the word, and again, thank you for being here. Until next time, this is Mary for the health of it.